Hi everyone, it's great to be here at the Berlin and German premiere of the film. Taika, who is the director of the film and writer, spent many formative nights of his life in Berlin. I don't know if you can remember many of them, but he loves Berlin and he's really glad that the film's playing here and knows that the people who are in this room are probably enjoying Berlin like he has a lot before. So just to tell you a little bit about the film, it's based on a book by Barry Crump, who is a famous New Zealand writer in New Zealand who is also a famous bushman. So he would go out into the bush for days, months on end and write these amazing books that the whole country would read. So it's quite an unusual combination, I think, in the 80s to have a kind of gruff bushman who'd come out of the wilderness with a pick on his back and also a pencil and a book in his back pocket. So the book was called Wild Pork and Watercress, and Taika was asked to write it into a film about 10 years ago before he had made any of his other films. And at that point it was called Land of Tears. So you can imagine it was maybe a slightly different movie to the one you're about to see now. And a couple of years ago he realised that the rights, the movie hadn't been made and the rights were still available, so he picked them up and looked at the script and thought, oh, this is not the film I want to make now, and very quickly rewrote it. And we made this film, we started shooting in May 2015 and premiered in Sundance 2016, so it was a very fast turnaround film. We shot it in 25 days. Hick and Ricky and Bella, they're all characters. The start of the film is quite similar to the book, and then once they get on the adventure, the kind of like the authorities and Paula and Andy and the hunters sort of a new Taika additions. There is a kind of version of Psycho Sam in the book, but it's not quite that version. And there's no car chase in the book, so that's something that got bigger and bigger as Taika mentioned as we got closer to shooting.
I can imagine. And I think it's very similar because when you know Taika's film, you always look on these outsiders, very nerdy characters, but very lovable as well. So when you see these characters, it's very similar, I think, and maybe that was one of the reasons why Taika wanted to do that, I guess.
Yeah, I think Taika wasn't sure if he wanted to direct the film. Like when I first started working with him on it, he was worried it might be too similar to Boy, because it dealt with a sort of father-son story. I'm not sure if you've seen it, his previous film Boy, which was New Zealand's #1 film at the box office, and also was much more personal about his own, based very much on his own upbringing. And this story had very similar themes, and so he wasn't sure if he wanted to do it, another film so similar, especially dealing with a young kid. But as time went on, I think he sort of realised he couldn't let anyone else direct the script that he'd written, and so he directed it.
Okay, it's up to you. Questions? Oh, look, there's one.
Did you have an advisor for the bush, like, because you were in there outside for a long time?
We were always 5 minutes. Well, we were always 30 seconds from a coffee machine. So it was amazing being out in the bush, but we were actually, the furthest place we were away was on the Army and Ngāti Rangi land. So that's in the Desert Road, which is the centre of the North Island, and so the Army looked after us when we were working on the land. We used to drive from the main state highway about an hour to under just the base of the mountain there. So the Army looked after us there, and the snow that you saw one day, Taika had in the script, and it snows, in brackets, if we get it or something like that. And one day we turned up at 5 o'clock in the morning and it was snowing. We'd driven an hour in and we couldn't film anything that we planned to film that day, so he said, well, why don't we film this 720 degree shot? So while the rest of us were sort of like trying to figure out what the hell was going on, Taika already had a plan, and he had everyone filming this one shot, which was never actually described in the script. It was something that he thought of in the moment. So that's definitely the way Taika likes to work. He likes chaos, and he likes the environment to be alive. He likes to work with the actors on the day, or every night after shooting he would work with Sam and Julian on the next day's work, and they'd kind of keep the script alive. So he used the script, but also kept adding to it as the filming was going on. And other than that, we did have a bushman who helped us, or helped Taika, especially around some of the scripting who was a kind of like modern day Barry Crump type guy. And it's his knife that we use and the pig that Heck uses in the pig scene, which apparently has killed 150 pigs or something crazy like that. But no pigs were harmed in the making of this film.
Any more questions?
Yes,
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit about Ricky and how he was selected and coached?
Yeah, so Ricky's played by Julian Dennison. He's in London tonight. He's just done a week's press because we just opened in the UK with Sam. He's now 13. He was 12 when we shot the film. This is his third feature film. The first one he did was a New Zealand feature called Shopping. And the second one he did was an Australian feature called Paper Planes, where he didn't play the lead, but it was a very popular film in Australia. And Taika worked with him on a commercial for drug driving, like one of those LST, New Zealanders will know that, the anti-speeding, anti-drink driving, all of those sorts of commercials. So there was an anti-drug driving one, and so Taika worked with him then, and then started to imagine that he would be the perfect kid for Ricky. So in the latter drafts of the script, was writing with Julian in mind. And yeah, Julian is amazing. Imagine being 12 and taking on that was a huge role to take on. And he also worked with Rachel House, who plays Paula in the movie. She was his dialogue coach, and his mum was with him on the shoot as well. So there was kind of like a family environment. But he's just an incredible kid, and I think he's got a long way to go.
Was there much like improvisation in the acting?
So they definitely work with the script. Julian always likes to take credit that the trapdoor scene in the Psycho Sam was his idea. I think there was definitely input from people, but it wasn't. I think with what we do in the shadows, like his previous film, there was a lot more. It was based around improvisation. This we had a really amazing script, and so there was just bits of improvisation around that. So it wasn't an improvised movie.
Just one question, I don't know if you can answer it, but in Boy and in this film there's a reference to a Japanese concept in both, like there's the shogun in Boy and in this there's the haiku. Do you know why that is? It's something that's always boggled me about. And it's also in Two Cars One Night as well.
I don't know, but Taika does listen to some pretty crazy music that might have inspired that. Yeah. But haikus, we were all taught, if you're a Kiwi, we were all taught haiku at school.
Just something, it's just a little weird concept that he always brings up a Japanese concept in all of them. I'm like,
what's that?
Yeah, what's that about? Something around. But maybe it'll be in the next one.
And Thor.
How long did it take you to pick that bit of landscape or countryside to make that decision that we're going to film there as opposed to elsewhere nearby, or?
There's filmed in quite a few different places. That was one of the kind of things about the New Zealand bush. You can kind of point your camera in one direction and it looks all the same as if you point it the other direction. Once you get inside there, because it just is one. But we actually were travelling in quite a few different areas. So the Faulkners farm that the film opens in is in Puhoi, which is an hour north of Auckland. And that's an original Bohemian cottage which is abandoned, which we resurrected. And then most of the bush scenes were shot in West Auckland, Bethel's Beach, Piha, Karikari. And then we shot the car chase down, like I said, in the desert, off the desert road. And the aerials are shot in the Coromandel, the pinnacles. So all of those bits of bush kind of all become one. In the book it is the Uruwera bush, which is on the east coast. We decided we were just going to have one New Zealand bush.
We have unfortunately just time for a last question, so you're the lucky one. Please, go ahead.
So first I want to say I think it's incredible that you shot that in 25 days. I can't really believe that you did that. So I'm interested in how was your budget and was it difficult to find funding for it? Because I imagine it's really all these outdoor scenes and all the things with the military must have been quite difficult.
Well, the military can't accept payment, which is really useful for a producer. The budget was, I think, it's a small New Zealand budget. They're all relatively small. Taika is one of our best filmmakers, so from the Film Commission, who are our main funding organisation, it's pretty, they really want to back him, so that part of it's not really difficult in New Zealand. But on screen, I think we've produced a much bigger film than probably what the budget was.
mind nice for us. If you want to make a film, do it with the army in New Zealand.
They also work on The Hobbit.
Hopefully you enjoyed the festival, and we will see us next year again. Thanks a lot.